This is 6.2, question number 750600. 750600. We're solving equations with decimals and fractions. Everything else still applies. We drop the t, which is just a formality. We use the inverse operation on both sides. Our goal is to isolate the variable. We're solving for the variable here. Just a little review here. When the variable is being multiplied, we divide. When we divide, it's being multiplied. This is the inverse operation. When the variable is being added, then we subtract. When it's being subtracted, then we add. These are inverse operations. So I'm going to show you a few of these. So when I go ahead and this is saying to me 20 times n, that means 20 times n when you have a letter next to a number. So I'm going to divide 11 divided by 20. So I'm not sure. I have to look at this. It might say show it as a decimal, or it might say as a fraction, which would then be 11/20ths. Okay, so here we have adding to p, so we're going to minus 5 from both sides. Add the opposite. So 10.18 plus negative 5. So we're really subtracting, and we would end up with 5.18. I'm using my calculator. You can or you don't have to. Here, h is being divided by 0.22, so we're going to multiply times 0.22. 7 times 0.22, 0.22 times 7. We find that it's 1.54 is equal to h. What that means is if I were to take 1.54, divide it by 0.22, I would end up with 7. That's what we solved. 0.46 times h, so I'm going to divide both sides times 0.46, or divide both sides by 0.46, so 6.9 divided by 0.46 tells me that the answer is 15. So h is equal to 15. So what that means is if I were to multiply 15 times 0.46, it should equal 6.9. So 15 times 0.46, it equals 6.9. That's what's happening when we solve for those. Um, we're locating what that variable is. So let me just give you the few answers here. Number 6, which equation has a solution of 1/3? So the key here is to substitute. If I put 1/3 in for these, am I going to get that value? Well, 1/3 minus 3, that is not 1/3. 3 and 1/3 plus 1/3. So that's saying 3 and 1/3. If I put 1/3 in there, well, that's going to give me 3 and 2/3. So that's out. 3 plus 2, well, that there is 5. So that's going to end up with 5 and 2/3. It's not going to end up with 1/3. 3 and 1/3 minus 3. So if I subtract 1/3, I'm going to end up with that. Okay. And again, which equation has a solution of 15.6 for C? So I'm going to substitute in 15.6. Well, if I take 21.6 plus 15.6, that is not going to equal 6. That is somewhere in the range of 35 because 21 plus 15 is 36. So that's way higher. 6 minus 9.6. Well, 6 minus 9 is negative 3. So it's not going to be 15.6. Okay. 15 minus 21 is negative 6. So it's not going to be 15.6 in there because if I did 15 minus 6, I put the wrong number in there. That equals 9, not 21.6. Okay. And then if I take 5 times 15.6, I bet that's going to have to be it. 5 times 15.6, that equals 78. So when I substitute in 15.6 here, it equals 78. Okay? So here we're solving for s. It's just a fraction. We're going to add the opposite. So I'm going to add negative 6 point. So I'm going to take my calculator, 8 minus, use your U n over d, minus 6 and 2 over 5. I could do this manually if I wanted to. It says 1 and 3/5. So S is equal to 1 and 3/5. So if I added 1 and 3/5 to that, I would end up with 8. Okay. And add 19 and 1/7. 19 and 1/7. Well, since that's a whole number and that's a whole number, and I add them together, I get 27 and 1/7. Okay. I'm adding the opposite. The last one, I'll do this here. This is a whole number of 5, so 2 plus 5 is 7.5.